So good morning, everybody. Yeah, today we just want to look at the power of trends in what we do and actually noticing trends in our industry. So when I was in secondary school, most of us would have experienced this thing. Let's say you are living in a two-story building and somebody is living on the second floor, people are living on the first floor. If they want to pound cocoyam, what do you normally hear in your own people's flat? Anybody who has lived in, maybe somebody is living above you, what do you normally feel? When they are pounding their cocoyam? No, just the pounded yam on first. Essentially. So, for me, that's what I've been used to. You know, if you're living on the first floor, somebody is living on the second floor, when they are pounding yam in their kitchen or this, you'll be hearing boo, boo, boo in your, as if the decking is falling. Last weekend, I just noticed that Miss Amaka was cooking soup. And it just occurred to me that I've never heard that boo, 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 boo. So I now went to the kitchen to see how come this normal thing I'm used to, I'm not hearing it. And I went to the kitchen and lo and behold, I noticed that the pounding of the cocoyam, she no longer does it with this thing, but she now uses blender. Which means the trend has shifted from using mortar and pestle to pound to blending with blending machine. And a lot of people will be making preparation on, we want to move into a new house, how to buy mortar and pestle, without knowing that this might get you evicted and there are things that can actually get the job done better, faster, with less stress. What this means is that for whatever we are doing in any industry we are operating, we need to ask ourselves, what is the current trend? And we even understand the current trend. Keep what we talked last week about artificial intelligence aside, but also looking at the industry we operate in and asking ourselves, what are the trends that have been going on that we have not even noticed that these trends have actually taken over? Because a lot of time we might be so focused on what we are doing, the way we are doing it, even if it's getting us results, and we're not noticing that new trends has come in and that these new trends are taking over how things are done. And one day we come in and we just realize that we're not getting the customers we expect, or we're just getting the wrong quality of customers and clients. And what this means is looking at the industry, looking at what others are doing and asking ourselves, what are the things we need to start to do differently? What are the things that we need to start to do that probably is the new way things are being done? What are the changes happening in our industry that we need to start to pick up and be sensitive to? I was looking at, I was watching a video this morning and was talking about the development of the iPod to the iPhone. He said that Apple looked at the trend in music. That initially people used to carry big radio to listen to music when they are walking about. Now, some of you might not know, but there was a time when if you are moving, want to listen to your music, you carry your radio and you are walking about. Now, it now went to when people started to use Walkman. And you wear it with your Walkman that you normally hook up or... So they said that the trend they noticed now was that people wanted to carry something smaller that can give them the same amount of music over an extended period of time. And they decided to start to work on something that is smaller, that can give longer quantity of music without inconveniencing the people. And that was how that iPod was born. So it's always about looking at what is the trend happening and where do we start to navigate towards. In recruitment, for instance, we are seeing that, okay, people are leaving the country. What is the trend? Is there a need now for outsourced recruitment whereby people can from any part of the world work in Nigeria? Or is there now a need for you say, you know what? Like look at the challenge we noticed with pharmacist recruitment. That the trend is that probably in the developed cities like Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt, you might not find the pharmacist you want. But maybe somewhere in Jigawa, you can find somebody, a pharmacist who is willing to work. And for that to happen now, the trend is get this guy accommodation. So it now boils down to what we are currently doing. What are the trends that we need to start to look at? Is this something that, for instance, in our space, I don't know if you have noticed, Jobberman organizes trade shows and conferences. Have people notice that? Which means you are not even studying the trend in your industry. Workforce is doing something similar, which means there's a trend towards people organizing job fairs, organizing events, such that people can come in to also better know what they do and see them as the go-to people when it comes to a certain area. Now, when you notice this trend now, you now need to ask yourself, okay, do we now need to start to organize our own? You might not have the resources to do what they are doing, but you can actually do it online. So look at the trend and say, okay, what needs to change? In fact, trend is not even what needs to change, it's what has changed and what is changing. Meaning that if somebody asks you in the space that you operate in, do you know the trends that are happening there? First of all, even trend starts by even knowing the players in your industry. Are more people coming in the industry, or are more people leaving? Something like looking at trend, let's say the bread industry, for instance. The agege bread industry, is it increasing or is it going down? So it's about looking at the trend and asking yourself, do we understand what is happening in our industry and what do we need to do to actually ensure that these issues don't catch us unprepared, don't catch us off guard. And when we start to understand trends, we start to look at little changes that when you implement will give you some massive difference in what you do. I was looking at trends in schools, and if you look at the current any school that doesn't start to do a lot of digital stuff for their students, IT stuff, will find it difficult to retain good quality parents. If you notice, Ifeanyi and Tushku have started to do something in that space. Every Thursday, Abi. Because if you don't notice the trend and start to make provision for it, you just wonder, why am I losing business? I always share this story of my uncle that has been driving this Mercedes 911 truck for a very long time. And one day he wanted to join me in my car, and he didn't know how to use a seat belt. Because all his life he has been driving the truck, and most of those trucks don't use seat belts. So something as simple as a seat belt, as me had gone for a job interview, something as simple as a seat belt would have made somebody who has over 30 years experience not to get the job. Which means it's not just about experience on the job. It's also about what are the trends in the industry, and am I in line with those trends in the industry? It's looking at what we do, what are the trends in our industry, and aligning with it. I look at online classes we are running, and part of the reason why I run the classes those ways is because I've looked at the trend. A lot of business schools make their courses a bit more theoretical, and people don't get so much participation. But if you make it something that is a tool that somebody can go and use in the market space, then they'll be willing to participate more. They'll be willing to pay you what you are doing. So let's start to look at the trends in our industry and say, what are the things that are happening, the small changes coming up that we need to start to pick up. Because when we don't pick up those things, our businesses, I always tell the pharmacy business owners, why a pharmacy would one day set it up looking wonderful, you come back about a few years down the line, the place is looking old, is because the owners are not watching the trend. If you don't deliberately visit other pharmacies to see what they are doing, there's no way you've noticed that the shelving has moved from aluminum shelves to HBF board. Because you might walk in now into a particular supermarket and you just see things arranged there without knowing that there's actually a way certain things are arranged. The things people pick, as in they come in deliberately to buy, are not normally positioned where they can easily reach it, usually on the shop floor. But the things that they want you to buy unconsciously are positioned where it's easy for you to access. If you don't understand that trend, you will wonder why customers are not buying from you. So, in conclusion, I want us to look at what are the trends in our industry. Most importantly, what are the technological trends that we need to understand? What are the tools that we need to start to bring on board? And how do we ensure that we're actually following up on these trends? Because that's the reason why there has to be a research and development team who is constantly looking at what are the latest trends, what are the changes that needs to be done, and somebody's always following up on it. If not, we'll just wake up one day and realize that we are just coming sitting down in the office and nothing is happening.